Everyone. Welcome to the CA3 Climate Action and Advocacy on the Airwaves podcast. My name is Simon Evans and I welcome you. This project was undertaken with the financial support of the University of Calgary's Mobilizing Alberta Climate Action Grant Program. We are broadcasting on 90.9 FM CJSW in Calgary. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. I hope you enjoy your time here on the airwaves as we dive into the world of climate action.
Do community gardeners see themselves addressing the impact of climate action? Do community gardens promote sustainability? Does the produce address local food inequality and insecurity? Do community gardens promote social and community health? I will answer these questions in this podcast with examples from Calgary Community Gardens and reflecting on my experience of 7 years of gardening in Edmonton, Alberta. Hello, my name is Suraj Khatiwada. I am a Bachelor of Social Work student at the University of Calgary. I am doing my practicum with the Transforming Field Education Landscape Project, the creator of this podcast. I will also explore how a local municipal government, the City of Calgary, supports communities to promote community gardening in this podcast. Community gardening embodies a direct response to the call for climate justice. Community gardening's contribution to the local food system is equally valuable. Do you live in a city? Have you seen acres of empty land not being used for years in the city? That land could be used for community gardening. Community gardens are green infrastructure in cities and towns that provide numerous advantages. There are various sizes and shapes of community gardens. They might be big or small, horizontal or vertical, on the ground or on building rooftops, in containers, or a combination of raised beds, plots, and containers. In the community gardens, gardeners can have personal plots or collaborate with others to cultivate various crops as a team, sharing in the labor and the harvest. Every community garden is different and takes on a life of its own as the gardeners see fit. The United Nations and the international communities established 17 Sustainable Development Goals in 2015, and climate action is one of the goals among them. The mission of this goal is to take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Community gardening is directly connected to the Sustainable Development Goals, especially number 1, end poverty, number 2, zero hunger, number 11, climate action, and number 13, sustainable cities and communities. Also indirectly connected to all other goals. The glory of gardening, hands in the dirt, heads in the sun, heart with nature. What a beautiful proverb by Alfred Austin about gardening. You might have heard gardeners are the best gossipers. Let me tell you my own story before I get into the topic. I was born in a rural village in Nepal. Agriculture was the primary source of income and livelihood in my family. I did not know about community gardening when I was in Nepal. However, I came to Canada with basic knowledge and experience in agriculture. In 2015, when I knew that the local community associations provide public space for gardening for their community members, I wanted to grow some vegetables and fruits in the garden like I used to grow in back home. In the beginning years, I was not an experienced gardener and had a superficial knowledge of food justice and climate justice issues. The first thing that came to my mind was the sense of belonging. Growing pumpkins and tomatoes connected me to my food culture and childhood. The value and connection that I felt from being part of the community helped me to connect with nature and land. Usually, I go to community gardens when my stress level is high and my mood is down. Entering the community garden is an escape for me from the worries. My exposure to nature and my engagement with the soil and plants reduce my stress level, and I feel a recharging of energy consumed in response to stress. I consider the gardens not only for planting, but a place where people come and stay and talk with fellow gardeners and don't feel isolated. I was curious to know how community gardens work in Calgary. Who facilitates providing the city's empty landlots to the community members? I discovered that the City of Calgary parks and community-based organizations work collaboratively by providing public lands for community gardening. A group of 10 or more people can apply to use the land for community gardening. The city receives applications from different communities throughout the year. Interestingly, the approved community gardens may be eligible for up to $5,000 in-kind incentives, such as soil, compost, and other gardening supports. This incentive is available only to new community gardening initiatives. This approach justifies that the governance of community garden is decentralized in the communities in Calgary. And the city's support is critical to building strategic and proactive climate change resilience. Resilience to climate change is the capacity to anticipate, plan for, and react the dangerous activities or disturbances to the climate. We can enhance climate resilience by determining how hazards associated with climate change risk to humanity and by taking to manage the risks better. Climate change must be viewed as humanity's greatest problem throughout this process. It is our obligation to see ourselves as moral beings who are concerned about the future and the world. We elevate our efforts to lessen the negative effects of climate change and take steps to halt or lessen the destructive action associated with it. It was beyond belief that I learned that the Calgary Horticulture Society, a charity organization, was established a century ago with the vision of gardening for life. I learned from the society's website that there were 169 public and private community gardens in 2016, which has probably reached over 200 gardens by now. Interestingly, the society has over 3,500 members. In the 1980s, there were only 27 members. I asked myself, what helped to increase the number of members so extraordinarily? There could be a number of factors. New global challenges were coming, such as food insecurity, global warming, urban heat, and growing carbon dioxide. I communicated with some gardeners, community leaders, and agency workers in Calgary to learn more about encouraging and inspiring factors for community gardening. I learned that some community members do gardening as a hobby or luxury. Community members also consider community gardens as a place where people gather, share space, and build their relationships through different activities in group, such as building plots, composting, weeding, irrigating plants, harvesting produces, and donating produces to food banks and other food collection campaigns. I do gardening to connect with my food culture, Mother Nature, and childhood. I asked them, do you see yourself addressing the impacts of climate action? I found out that most of the respondents were aware of climate change. My conversation with some gardeners increased my knowledge about gardening and its benefit. I knew from a fellow gardener that increased average temperature and dome heating directly affects living beings, including plants. We eat the tender tops of pumpkin vines in our food culture. In 2021 summer, pumpkin vines and leaves were bitter, and we could not eat them. That summer was sweltering in Alberta and British Columbia. My fellow gardener told me that plants produce such bitter chemicals to react to extreme heat. I attended a composting workshop in April 2023. The facilitator emphasized that composting kitchen and garden waste can lower carbon emission, mainly methane, a vigorous greenhouse gas. It is an excellent supply of plant nutrients, which minimizes the need for chemical fertilizer. My conversation with gardeners and my own research and thought process made me aware of other benefits of community gardening. A variety of plants increase greenery and biodiversity as new plants are added for pollination. The Calgary Horticulture Society encourages gardeners to plant native plants, which needs less water and attracts different birds to come to the garden. I believe community gardens build community relationship, including human beings and wild species. Every year, I plant seedlings that I bring from back home, which I found is good practice. The Environmental Protection Agency in United States indicates that when cities obstruct natural land covered with dense cluster of pavement, buildings, and other surfaces that absorbs and holds heat, urban heat island results that way. Energy cost, air pollution level, and heat-related illness and deaths all go up due to this effect. I discovered that plants and green surfaces can assist in lessening the effect of urban heat islands by absorbing solar heat and releasing moisture in the atmosphere. In our community gardens, most water we use for irrigation comes from the rain barrels. I also learned from some private gardeners in Calgary that rainwater has more minerals for plants than tap water. Gardeners also save rainwater in containers or barrels to water the plants. Hard surfaces created by urbanization lead to runoff and less water being absorbed by the ground, which reduces water absorption. In response to these cities' flood, the city of Calgary experienced a major flood in 2013 due to this and other various factors. Flooding can be prevented in part by gardens or green surfaces that absorbs water and delay the water's flow. Plants take in carbon dioxide during photosynthesis, much like how we breathe oxygen. They then convert it into glucose, which helps them to grow. As a result, our garden becomes a living sponge that absorbs carbon dioxide directly from the air. Community gardening is the practice of managing a garden for the benefit of all gardeners. The Calgary Horticulture Society's impressive membership growth shows how much the community is interested in green action through plants and gardens. It brings people together, creates new connection, and also affects people's health and well-being. With physical activity, better nutrition, and lower stress, community gardening may alleviate chronic and non-communicable diseases. A gardener shared her observation that many older people and other community members visited their community gardens during COVID-19 pandemic because they felt the garden was a safe place to visit and do social interaction. I also believe that community gardens foster culturally relevant interaction, increase social interaction, and other gardening activities that enhance the well-being of the people. We have organized many meetings of our community association in the community gardens in the past few years. It proves that community gardens have advantages beyond the individual who participate in them, such as building stronger communities, better physical environment, and the sharing of the labor's fruit. Community gardens are learning space for people. I love reading romantic poetry and novels in the community garden. My children's school organizes field trips to the local community gardens where students engage in watering plants and attending composting workshops. Children also learn where their food comes from and how to grow plants and crops. Similarly, gardeners also share their learning and experience with each other. I learned from some immigrant gardeners that their senior parents enjoying spending time in the community and backyard gardening. The Calgary Nepalese Community Association runs a gardening project that provides free seeds and information to the gardeners, where many senior parents are engaged and reduce their isolation. Because older people have a lot of experience in agriculture, they teach new ways of gardening to other gardeners. Community gardens address local food inequality and insecurity. This practice has created a trusted community bond in each other. More importantly, we get organic food from this activity. I don't need to buy vegetables items such as tomatoes, beans, and peas from the store throughout the year. My extra freezer is filled with organic vegetables in the harvesting season. I share some of my products with my community friends. Individuals and families can produce fresh fruit, herbs, and plants of their choice in separate, communal, or mixed gardening areas provided by community gardens. Community gardens represent a promising strategy for addressing food insecurity since they provide lower income households access to nutritious food. I learned from the Calgary gardeners that they work on 3 different levels to address food insecurity. First, gardeners share their own products with each other. Second, many group initiatives run donation drives to feed needy people in the community. The third level is on a large scale. Many community gardens run donation drives to donate to charities such as the Calgary Food Bank and Leftover Foundation. During my chats, gardeners revealed to me a variety of challenges of community gardening in Alberta. The growing season length is a common and significant challenge because most plants need temperature above 0 degrees Celsius to flourish, and Alberta only has around 5 months of growing season. The dry summer is not good for plants because Alberta has low ratio of precipitation. Other difficulties for plants and crops in Calgary include the dome heat and hail. Community gardens are not a magic bullet for climate change mitigation and achieving other sustainable development goals. However, community gardens are effective tools for lowering poverty and food insecurity, which is a positive outcome. More importantly, community gardens can build community resilience and sustainability while reducing the effect of various environmental injustice. They can give meals, foster social empowerment, offer a secure space for meetings, and support restorative practices to help people remember the value of a normal environment. Canadian Association of Social Workers highlights that social workers have a vital role in humanizing climate change by highlighting the ways that it is intricately tied to social inequities and how that impacts individuals and communities at the most fundamental level, the right to be who you are. Communities are affected by climate change. The disruption of agricultural cycle will put global food security in danger. The health of people, their crops, and livestock will be further impacted by global warming as it spreads to the larger areas. Coastal populations will be uprooted due to rising sea levels in both rural and urban places. It will exacerbate humanity's problems, directly affecting social work. One gardener suggested to me that I should keep up my gardening. She encouraged me to network with and help both new and experienced gardeners. I should promote effective gardening and work with the environment to leave as little of carbon impacts as possible as a responsible citizen. We can elevate Calgary to the pinnacle of gardening expertise in this way.
Thank you for listening to the Climate Action and Advocacy on the Airwaves. We hope you enjoyed your time here. This project was undertaken with the financial support of the University of Calgary's Mobilizing Alberta Climate Action Grant Program. We are broadcasting on 90.9 FM CJSW in Calgary. I would like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the people of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta. The City of Calgary is also home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Districts 5 and 6. Thank you, and I hope to catch you on the airwaves soon.